Okay, hello everyone, and I hope you are listening, and I hope I can give you all the good information that you are wanting or interested in about our program. So as far as physical therapist assistant goes, first I'm just going to introduce myself real quick. I am the program director. I've been a physical therapist, I started as a physical therapist assistant. Let's just say I've been in the profession for about 28 years. I started as a physical therapist assistant and then progressed on and went back and got my master's degree in physical therapy. And I was with the program from the ground up. And so it's been quite interesting and intriguing to watch it grow and to see the program do great things. So a little bit about our program, just first of all, the accreditation piece. And Reagan, I don't know if you can advance the slides or not, but to the accreditation piece. So we got our accreditation 5 years ago, and then just in April, April 28th of 2020, this year, we got the reaffirmation for accreditation, and the program was commended by the commission for the quality of the education. And as a quote, it said, the quality of the educational program is depicted through its well-written, thorough, concise, and comprehensive self-study report, and then evidence provided during the accreditation reaffirmation process. And so we're very, very proud to know that we are reaccredited for the next 10 years, and that they found no fault with our program. So that was very complimentary, and we're proud of that. So the other things that we are proud of and definitely have worked hard towards is the program outcomes. So, looking at the very first year of the program, you can see that the pass rate, the first time pass rate was 66.7%, and then the ultimate pass rate was 83.3. But if you look on down, you will see that from every year forward, past that very first year of our existence in the program, we've had 100% first-time pass rate on our board exam. And so our students are where they need to be to pass the licensure exam, and we're proud of that. And then as far as the employment rate, we have a very high employment rate. So there's a very high need for PTAs in our field. Also, the next slide talks just a little bit about comparing our program to the national outcomes. And so, yes, we're proud that our program, has first-time pass rates at 100%, but we're also proud to say that that's way above national averages. So, looking at just, the very first slide there, it talks about the 2019 first-time pass rate, OC Tech 100%. The national first-time pass rate on the board exam is 84.4%. And then to see that the graduates that do pass the board exam, the OC Tech graduates are scoring 710. You got to have a 600 to pass. 800 is the top score. We're scoring 710 compared to national averages of 656. And so if you look at each year, you can see that we've exceeded national averages throughout the existence, or at least for the last three years in the data. So that's interesting and certainly an asset to our program. Moving on, the other things that are unique about our program is that we do have a small class size. We have 22 students that we accept every year, so there's a very small class size. We also have low faculty to student ratio. We have 3 full-time faculty members. So at all times you will have at least 1 to 11 ratio, because we usually try to have 2 faculty members in lab at all times. The semesters, once you get accepted into the program, there's only 3 semesters. So you start in May of one year and you graduate the following year. You literally go summer, fall, spring. And so it's a very short time frame. The financial obligation for the one-year program compared to, the salary that you're going to be making upon graduation is a low financial obligation. We have 100% employment rate, so graduates find jobs. They usually find jobs before they actually get licensed in many cases. Above national averages for the licensure pass rates that we just talked about. We also have state-of-the-art equipment because we are a new program. We also have a variety of clinical sites across the state of South Carolina. So there's wide variety in clinical placement. We have engagement with students in other health science and PTA programs in the state of South Carolina. So we try to involve our students, not just with us, but we do projects and stuff with MUSC. We do projects with other PTA programs, and then also with the nursing students in the health science program. So that's a unique quality that puts that interdisciplinary care in place. And then we also are involved with advocacy as well as community service learning. And so we really try to make our students well-rounded inside and outside of the class. Things that we're doing for COVID-19 in regards to safety is that we have moved our lecture classes online. We have lab classes that we have reduced from the 22 students that we normally operate with to just 6 to 8 students in each class. So the faculty-student ratio has been modified from a 1 to 11 to a 1 to 6 or 7 students in each class. We have 3 classrooms now that are designated for lab rather than just 2. So we've added a room to provide lab in. We have added hand stations to all the labs. We have Clorox wipes that we use to wipe down all equipment every time they're touched. We have provided face masks for students and faculty. The work plans, we create work plans and we have to turn them in to campus security so they know when students are on campus, and then we also turn them into physical plant so that they can come around, and even behind us after we wipe down everything, the physical plant wipes it down again. So we make sure that we're being safe. And then we also offer optional tutoring as needed via Zoom meetings. So we have tried to adapt and make the learning environment as cohesive as possible for the COVID-19 safety. Okay, so in regards to job market and salaries, I know Reagan had talked earlier about the competitive salaries, and this is just taken from the U.S. Department of Labor Occupational Outlook Handbook. So the average salary for PTAs in South Carolina is $56,880. And then according to a Career One Stop, the average salary for a PTA just in South Carolina is $57,000. So you can see that it's a very competitive salary. And like I said, the financial obligation is low for 1 year of school once you get accepted in the program compared to what you'll be making. So it's a good paying job and it's a fun job. As far as, you know, where PTA graduates can work once they become licensed, there's an array of possibilities. So it's endless. You've got hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, pediatric clinics, sports medicine clinics, outpatient clinics, and the list just goes on and on. So once you get your degree, you don't have to go back to school to change the clinical setting that you practice in. Once you get your degree, you know enough about physical therapy to practice in any setting that you choose. So that's unique, and that's also keeps you from getting burned out in one area. So that's a good thing. As far as what to expect or what to prepare for, the PTA curriculum is actually two phases. So phase one, that includes your general education courses, so your prerequisites. So there are 10 prerequisite courses. They're listed here. So that includes your 2 biology courses, your English, there's 2 psychology courses, there's a math course, a medical term course, computer technology course, there's a public speaking, and then there's a humanities elective that has to be taken prior to getting accepted into the PTA program. So that's phase one. And when that is completed, then students can apply for phase 2. You do have to get accepted into phase 2. And with that being said, there's other criteria. One is that you attend a health information program session, or we call them HIP sessions, and that's to get your information and to get your packet. That it will include all this information that I'm about to tell you, but also you have to have at least a 2.5 GPA to apply. And that is from the last college attended with 12 or more credit hours. Also, you have to have a C or better in all the 10 prerequisite courses that you take. The admission is competitive, and so the higher you can make in your prerequisite courses, then the better chance you have of actually getting accepted into the program. You also have to complete 40 observation hours in 2 different clinical practice settings, and we say 1 inpatient, 1 outpatient, because we want you to know what you're getting yourself into when you start the program. It's not all about outpatients. It's not all about inpatients. You learn it all. And so students need to be aware of that. And then you submit your packet to the competitive admission team. Then if you get accepted into the program, that takes you into phase 2, which is 3 semesters. There's a summer, fall, and spring, and then the courses are listed here. But with the courses, you know, there's a lot of hands-on activity. There's a lot of one-on-one work. There's a lot of lab where you have to, you know, you go to class and you learn the knowledge piece of it, but then you have to go to lab and you have to actually be involved in actively practicing your skills. Summer semester does not involve any clinical education, but the fall and spring semesters do. So on the next slide, it talks about your clinical education experiences. The program does involve 14 weeks of clinical education. At the end of fall and at the end of spring, each student is required to complete 7 weeks of clinical work. And that's where we actually place you in a clinical facility off campus, and you'll be under the direction of a clinical instructor. And like I said, that's 7 weeks for each fall and spring semester. We do require that you complete 1 in inpatient and 1 in outpatient because we want you to have that variety. And we also promote rural healthcare. And so we also expect that 1 of the 2 clinicals that you complete will be in a rural setting, okay? They can be anywhere in the state of South Carolina, and then you'll work the hours that your clinical instructor works. So it could be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. It could be Monday through Thursday, 8 to 7. It just depends on what your clinical instructor works. So you do have to have that flexibility for those 14 weeks. And then the last thing I would encourage you to do is that if you feel you are interested in becoming a PTA, then I encourage you to go on our website, which is listed here, and take the Are You Ready self-assessment, because it really talks specifically about things you will be expected to do in the program as well as on clinical and the expectations. So, you know, are you ready? Take the survey and see.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lynn. If you're just joining us, we're glad to have you here. We're continuing our College Talk series tonight with our Physical Therapist Assistant program. We are discussing some of the ins and outs of what you can expect as far as studying for your degree goes. If you're just joining us and you've missed a little bit of the conversation, don't worry, we'll have it saved here. We'll also have it saved on our website at octech.edu. Ms. Lynn mentioned some of our great advantages of our program is a small class size, and that does allow in many of our programs, especially in our health sciences, a good relationship between our instructors and our students. And tonight we actually have a student with us who is a graduate of our program, Miss Madison Reeves, and we're thrilled to have Madison. Madison, we'd love to hear a little bit about your experience in the program and how it prepares you for what you're doing now.
Hi, yes, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Yes, I'm a recent graduate from the Orangeburg PTA program. So I was kind of going to give you the ins and outs of what I learned and what I was taught in this program. Fortunately, like some others, I figured out that I wanted to do physical therapy pretty early on. So I went and got my 4-year degree and then came to apply to the PTA program at Orangeburg because I live near the area. And I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty hard, but it's definitely doable. And they make it hard for a good reason because that's how you have such good passing rates on the boards and such good rapport from the clinical instructors. They definitely will push you, but it's worth it in the end. First, the small class size was awesome because going to college, you're not so fortunate with that, and some of your professors don't even remember your name. And these professors were great. We were able to call them at 10:30 at night, and they would always respond either with a text or a phone call with any questions. I know Miss Lynn probably heard me call her pretty late, later than she probably wanted to, but anytime you're stressed or worried or thinking about something, they always have an answer for you, and they're always quick to respond. It is fortunate that our classes were only Monday through Thursdays. Most programs are Monday through Friday, but I really liked it because on Fridays we would pretty much get together and all study, or we could call the professors and ask them to come in on their day off. And most of the time they would come in and let us do extra lab or do extra study sessions, or we would all meet up at the school and do study sessions on our own. You really get to know each other as students wise too. We all became quickly best friends within like the first 3 days. We knew we had to get it through it together, and we wanted to push each other more and more, and help everybody get through. So it was awesome to see that people driving 2 hours, people driving 10 minutes, it didn't matter. We were willing to stay at each other's houses, to go to eat dinner and then go back to studying. We would call each other all the time. So I really liked the 22 students having a small class because we got to know each other so well. It was really good experience at the school, especially with your clinical sites. They kind of pick clinical sites based off of who you are and your personality. So the professors really got to know who you are and like what kind of person you are, and they would set up your clinical site based off of that and based off of your clinical instructor and everything, which was good because I had 2 great clinical experiences. Even if you don't get say wound care experience, they did set up a day that we were able to go to the wound care clinic in Orangeburg, which is a really great opportunity. Excuse me. Because you may not see that at your clinical site depending on base where you are. So just having that day to go see firsthand real experience really showed me, okay, this is really interesting, and it makes you what you learn in class and in labs, and see it on a real person really makes everything click. We were also able to go to a school, which was great because it's made me realize that that's maybe something I would be interested in, doing school physical therapy, and just seeing the interaction with the therapist and a child. Some people weren't able to go to a pediatric clinic or get the peds rotation. So taking a day out of our lecture and lab time to go to that school really was awesome. And then we were able to take what we learned and applied it to our labs, which was great and made us be more creative. We did numerous projects on the new evidence-based practice, so the new interventions and techniques that are out there. So it allows us to learn and teach each other as classmates what's out there, what's new, because the clinical site that you go to, you may not learn it. Some people do the old school kind of thing. So whenever you go to your clinical, you can teach your clinical instructors and other therapists there what you've been researching and what you learned and what your classmates taught you or what your professors taught you. So that was a really good experience. Even though you may have to write pages on pages of papers, in the end, it's definitely worth it because you get to keep up to date and you keep using that kind of practice in your career. Another thing that Ms. Lynn touched on, that our community-based, we went to the Orangeburg Prep Color Run, which was really cool. At first we were kind of like, oh, we don't want to spend our Saturday morning at a color run, but it was a really great experience because a lot of the participants asked, oh, what are you here for? And we would say Orangeburg Physical Therapy Assistant Program, and they wanted to know so much more about it. And even some of the parents, family members or children were asking us and how they could apply and everything like that. So it was good to get the word out there and to see how we can play a role in volunteering in the community. Another thing about it is, I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. There's a lot of time that you have to put into it. There's a lot of things you have to miss out on. All the tests you have to make at 80 or above, which seems like, oh my gosh, that's impossible. And sometimes I felt that way too. It definitely takes a lot more studying than anticipated at first, but it's worth it because once you start taking those practice boards exams and everything like that, you realize what pushing you to make an 80 or above on everything and finishing each class with an 80 or above makes it worth it in the end, because you're more accepted in the different clinicals, and that you take better board exams. The questions on the test are usually like 100 questions long, which again seems impossible, but when you go to compare it to the board that's 200 questions, it makes it more doable, and you're more used to that long test, those long questions, everything like that. So everything they do is to push you further and to make you more successful in your career and passing the board exam, which is awesome, because in the moment you don't realize it, but finishing now, I realize that all those little minor critiques on your practicals or on your test, and you wish you would have got that point on your paper and everything like that, makes you realize that they were being realistic and they were just trying to make you better in your profession. And I know me personally, with my clinical instructors, they raved about Orangeburg students. They talked about how we were so professional, and that's a major thing that you learn right off the bat, is how to be a professional student, and then later on a professional physical therapist assistant. They make you practice your professional terms, and how do you introduce yourself, and how do you treat patients professionally and family members and everything like that. And that's something they definitely commented on at my clinical, is that students from Orangeburg learn how to be professional like that, and that they are more advanced and have more to offer compared to other students. I don't know if that's true or not, maybe they're doing my own horn, but it really seemed like that. And even therapists that weren't my clinical instructor would say the same thing. They would come up to me or come up to my instructor and say, you just have really a great student. And I know some of my other classmates had the same thing, that their instructors would just rave on them and always talk about how good of a student they are. And that's because they push you so hard in the classroom and the lab. So it may seem impossible when you're taking it, but you have to take it day by day. You can't overlook anything, and you don't have to. Trust me, I was stressed most of the time. Ms. Lynn can attest to that. But if you really sit down and realize, like, this is my passion, this is what I want to do, this is what I have to do to get there, and it really does make it worth it in the end. I see that now, practicing and studying for my boards, that I'm becoming more successful, and it is because, oh yeah, I remember that in the lab, or I remember them talking about that in class that day. So it was worth it, and it's definitely a great school. The professors are awesome. I love that it was only a year long, because in my head I kept having to tell myself, it's only a year, it's only a year. You can make it through a year. You can do anything in a year. They want you to succeed, so you have to want to succeed. So overall, it was a great experience. It's not always the easiest, it's not always the time friendliest, but if you really want it and this is something you're passionate about, then I say go for it. We always need more therapists in the world. As you can see, a lot of graduates get jobs right after. I know some of my classmates have already been offered jobs. So it definitely shows how Orangeburg Tech is represented out there, and how well we're doing, and how the passing rates and everything shows that everything that you do in the classroom and labs will definitely have a good meaning, and it'll help you be successful in the end.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maddie. As you can see, we have some outstanding graduates working in our communities and communities around the state. We're fortunate as a college to have wonderful relationships with local industry and local employers. And tonight we have Ms. Marlene Workman with ATI. Marlene is the clinical coordinator and a physical therapist. And we're so grateful that she put so many of our graduates to work, and so many of our graduates help them achieve their clinical hours. Ms. Marlene, we'd love to hear a little bit about our students in your setting, and how our graduates are helping ATI serve your patients.
Okay, can you hear me? You good? Yep.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Well, like she said, I run ATI here in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and we have 12 treating therapists at the moment, and 7 of which are PTAs. So I have a large group of PTAs here at ATI, and 5 of those 7 are graduates of OC Tech. So I've always been a big supporter since they started that program. We've accepted students every year until the COVID hit. And so So we're still hoping to get back to accepting students once this COVID is over. But all of my students have been excellent. All of my employees are very good. We have, they excel. Their productivity, their passion, their knowledge, everything has been just top notch. And I've been very impressed with the entire program. As far as other PTAs that we have had through, they compare, our OC Tech program is by far probably our best students that we've had. So they should chalk that up. And I saw those scores, Lynn, I was impressed. So that was good. So anything else other than just, I feel like they're very prepared. I feel like there's not an issue with them finding jobs at this point. And I would be happy to hire more when that need comes around.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marlene.
Okay.
We'd love to show you our facilities. If there's a time that works for you that you'd like to come and see our clinical areas and our labs, we would love for you to reach out to Ms. Lynn, and she will find a time that works for you both so that you can visit our campus using safe protocols, of course, but see our campus firsthand. It's really impressive. Ms. Lynn, anything you'd like to add to our call?
Just that if anybody has any questions, I'm here. Please contact me. I will, like you said, put you in the right hands, or I do my best to get you the right answer. But, anybody excited about the program and wants to learn more, please just let me know. Be glad to help you.
Great.